Hello students, so we shall continue with the same chapter Where There Is a Wheel by P. Sainath. So in the first class we thought about the author and how in Tamil Nadu in a small village called Pudukottai, so there was a movement, there they started a movement called cycling through which the people started having freedom, especially the women's. Okay, so in the last class we studied how cycling became a symbol of independence, freedom and mobility. Okay, so and there was people like Jamila Bibi and Fatima, and where Jamila Bibi she has taken cycling. Okay, and she told that it's my right and I can go anywhere now. Okay, we can go anywhere. So even when the people made dirty remarks on when the women started riding cycle, they all didn't care about that. Okay, so they started cycling. Then Fatima, who was a person, secondary school teacher. Okay, so and she, when she was not able to buy a cycle which was cost of 1200, but she uh, took the cycle. Okay, she hires the cycle in the evening to ride the cycle. Okay, then we came across the movement Arivoli Yakam. Okay, so Arivoli Yakam is a light of knowledge movement. It is called as a literary drive movement. So here the um, neo-literate women, neo-cyclist women. So here the basic idea was, along with the cycling, they thought this literacy drive movement, they taught women to read and write. Okay, so step by step, first it was a cycling, which was a way, which was a wheel women used for the freedom, mobility and independence. Okay, so when you are independent, when you are able to ride a cycle, you become independent and you can do the homely works. Okay, or your job or whatever it is, so you can do all by yourself. Okay, homely chores or something that which is very personal, or you, if you want to buy something, so you can do it by yourself without depending on men. Okay, so how this bicycling becomes a way to freedom, independence and mobility. Okay, so and Arivali Yakam, where it was a literary drive movement where the neo cyclists were taught how to read and write. Okay, so we have to start from here. We will start from here. The main thing, said N. Kannamal, Arivoli Center coordinator and one of the pioneers of cycling movement, was the confidence it gave women. So Kannamal is a coordinator of this Arivoli movement. Okay, Arivoli cycling movement, and she was one among the first one, the pioneer to start of cycling movement. Okay, and she says cycling gives confidence to women. Okay, cycling, when you learn cycling, when you are eager to learn cycling, and that gives you confidence. Okay, very importantly, it reduces their independence on men. Okay, so especially what cycling did to them, to women, was it built confidence in women, and it also stopped, or it reduced, not stopped, it reduced being independent on men. Okay, so it reduced being dependent on men. So it is not independent, it is dependent. Okay, so now we can often see a woman doing a 4-kilometer stretch on her bicycle to collect water, sometimes with her children. Even carting provisions from other places can be done on their own. But believe me, women had to put up their vicious attacks on their character when this began. So many made fleety remarks, but Arivoli gave cycling social sanction, so women took to it. Okay, so here what all the benefits women got, or what all the changes happened in the society when the women started cycling. Especially in the beginning, it built a confidence. It is the first step. It built a confidence and it reduced women depending on men, and then the women were able to travel 4 kilometers with a cycle to get to fetch the water, to collect the water along with their children. And they even was getting provisions from, I mean, the getting the pulses or rice or whatever required for the meal or the food items. Okay, so the food item, groceries, so all these were um, they was getting it from other places through cycling. Okay, and but when they started this movement, when they started cycling, okay, they was under vicious attacks on their character. Many persons, and especially men and the older men or the society, they passed flitty remarks is dirty remarks. Okay, dirty remarks that how a woman can do all these things. Okay, and she's not I mean, she's very I mean, they used past remarks on the women. So okay, and yeah, but Arivoli gave cycling social sanction. So it became a social movement. Cycling became a social movement. So women took it. Okay, and now you got to know how much cycling benefited their lives, and cycling helped women. Okay, so early among them, Kannammal herself, though a science graduate, she had never mastered the courage to cycle earlier. So now she is giving example of herself. Kannamal, she being a coordinator of Arivoli Yak movement, so she says, though I am a science graduate, but I had no courage to take up cycling. I had no courage to come and take up a cycling movement, to learn cycling. But when other peoples, other new literates, other new women's, okay, so when cyclists, new literates, new cyclists, and women, when they have taken a choice, they have made a decision to learn cycling, why shouldn't I? Okay, she thinks, why shouldn't I? So she says, let me take cycling. She decides and she learns cycling, and now she's a coordinator of Arivoli Yakam movement, where along with the cycling they teach them how to read and write. Okay, so okay, visiting an Arivoli cycling training camp is an unusual experience. In Kilakuruchi village, all the prospective learners had turned out in their Sunday's best. You can't help being struck by the sheer passion of the pro cycling movement. They had to know cycling offered a way out of enforced routines around male imposed barriers. The neo cyclist even sings songs produced by Arivoli to encourage bicycling. One of these had lines like, "Oh sister, come learn cycling, move with the wheel of time." Okay, so here on the Sundays, so this Arivoli cycling training camp. Okay, you can see there in the first line of the paragraph, Arivoli cycling training camp. So it was an unusual experience for the women in the village of Pudukottai and in Kilakurchi village. Okay, it is a small village in Tamil Nadu. All the prospective learners had turned out in their Sunday best. So those who have already learned cycling. Okay, so those who have already learned cycling, those who are neo cyclists, they had decided to have a training camp for the new women, who wanted to learn cycling. So they have arranged training camp in Kilakurchi on Sundays. Okay, and so you can't be stuck. So when you have a sheer passion of learning something, so especially when you have when you're passionate about music, you want to learn that. Okay, so here the women seeing other women, other neo cyclists, other women who have already learned cycling and have been independent. Okay, so when the woman sees all other women, being learning cycling and being independent. So all other movement had sure passion, okay, in the pro cycling movement. So what is this movement? They want to know what is this movement, what is the cycling movement, how does they will gain freedom to this movement, and how Adiboli Yakum, the literacy drive, can help them to come out of this barriers. Okay, so they had to know all the information about this training camp and the benefits of cycling. Okay, so cycling offered a way out of enforced routine. So the two changes brought about in the Kilakurichi village through the cycling movement to pro cycling movement was it offered a way out of enforced routine. So here you can see enforced routines in the fifth line. You can see offered a way out of enforced routines. Okay, so enforced routines. So the woman's basic task on everyday basis. What is the woman's work in a home? She has to take care of the children, she has to cook, and she has to wash clothes, cleaning, and look after her husband, look after her parents or mother-in-law, father-in-law. Okay, so these are the boundaries in which women are living. So they are bound of this family course. Okay, so she how can she come out? So this cycling movement helps them to come out of those enforced routine life where uh, living all other things like cleaning, washing, cooking, looking after children. Okay, so all these are routine. So this bicycling helps them to come out of this routine. And around male imposed barriers. So village is a place where male is the head of the family. Okay, and all other people will be under him, and male will take decision and women will be dependent on men. Okay, so the imposed, so and women also are restricted, or they are inside some boundaries, they are inside the created boundaries of the men and the society. So this bicycling helps them to come out of this routine work and male imposed barriers. Okay, so the neo cyclist even sings songs produced by Arivoli to encourage bicycling. One of these has lines like, "Oh sister, come learn cycling, move with the wheel of time." So the neo cyclist, they sing a song which was produced by Arivoli to encourage cycling. Okay, and this had lines like, "Oh sister, come learn cycling, move with the wheel of time." Okay, so very large numbers of those trained have come back to help new learners. They work free of charge for Arivoli as oddly named master trainers. So people who have learned, the women who have already learned cycling have come back to the Arivoli training camp to encourage other women, to teach other women the art of cycling. Okay, and they are called as master trainers. There is not only a desire to learn but a widespread perception among them that all women ought to learn cycling. So it was not just a desire. Okay, it was not an intention of the neo cyclist or the trained or the master trainers. It was not just a desire, but it was to make sure to teach women or to encourage women or to show women that it is the women rights to be independent. Okay, it was women's rights to learn whatever they want to learn. Okay, so in turn their experience has enriched the literacy movement. The neo cyclists are bound even more passionately than before to Arivoli. So they are even more passionate now. The women who learned cycling from the others have come back to Arivoli Ek movement to teach other women, and they are even more passionate when they are teaching others. Okay, so we shall stop here.